Hello my little Amazones, welcome to Cockney Sparrow Movie Reviews. Time for me to find my star-spangled pennies and take a butcher's at Wonder Woman 1984, one of the only big releases of 2020 that actually managed to find its way in front of people's eyeballs, thanks largely to the fact that Warner Brothers just so happened to have a new streaming service out with not much on it, so they decided to wang a few of their new movies on there. So at least we'll get some of the bigger movies in some shape or form this year. But before all that, I'll best whip out my lasso of truth and ride the wind back into the DC Films universe. And full bloody warning, there may be spoilers for this bugger, so if spoilers aren't what you wished for, then you have my permission to renounce your eyeballs and ear rolls and bugger off. As the title states, we find ourselves in 1984, where Diana Prince, aka the Woman of Wonder, is spending her days working at the Smithsonian Museum and doing a little bit of heroing on her lunch break, when a mysterious artifact that has the ability to grant wishes finds its way to the museum. After accidentally wishing for a long lost lover, Steve Trevor, to return, we found out that in granting you a wish, the stone takes something from you in return. In this case, it's Diana's powers. But when greedy seedy businessman Maxwell Lord gets his greedy mitts on the stone and wishes to become the Wishmaster himself, all bloody hell breaks loose, which leaves our hero with a tough choice to make in order to save the world. Oh, and there's a bloody cheetah woman in this for like 5 seconds. Look, I'm gonna have to point both barrels at this one because we waited a long time for this bugger, and boy is there a lot to unpack in this. But I have to give you my honest take, as there are a lot of reviews out there that are giving this one a good old arse kicking, which it does deserve in many cases. Now, like many, I watched this one with my tush firmly planted on the sofa, and it was quite late on, so my eyeballs and head were getting rather heavy to say the least. My first impression after seeing this film, that it was fine. It didn't blow me away, and it didn't make me want to scoop out my brain to erase all trace of it either. After reading and watching a few reviews myself, I can see why many out there had big problems with this movie, and boy does this one have a few when you really start to think about it. Luckily for me, thinking has never been one of my strongest assets, so when I sit down to watch a film I can turn my brain off, unless it's one of those flicks that really gets into your noggin and makes you think about what you're watching. This film does not fall anywhere near that category. In fact, it's not even in the same solar system as them movies, so maybe that's why I missed a lot of the problems in this, apart from a few glaring ones that made no goddamn sense, like how a wall and missiles can just randomly appear out of thin air, yet Steve Trevor's spirit has to hijack some poor bugger's meat and 2 veg, if you know what I mean. Look, I'm not going to prattle on about all the many plot holes and complete nonsense that goes on in this, as I'm a firm believer that you should judge a movie by yourself, not because Larry down the chip shop read it in a paper that it was bad. This film has all sorts wrong with it once you start to dissect it, so all I can do is give you my takeaway. No filmmaker sets out to make a bad film, and in my eyeballs, Patty Jenkins set out to make a superhero movie set in 1984 that also felt like it was made in 1984, which, as many know, the 80s to 90s weren't known for being the height of comic book movies. They were bad, really bad, and this film sure as shit hits the nail on the head for getting that right. But I could see the intention and what they were going for while watching this. They wanted that Donna Superman feel, and you do get that feeling at times, just mixed in with a lot of bad superhero movie tropes. And it's a real shame that happened to a character like this, as the first Wonder Woman was a shining jewel in the DC Films universe, and I feel for the cast and crew involved in this, as I can see what they were aiming for but completely missed the mark. Even bad films have some good aspects, and this one is no different. I love the opening scene with the young Diana, even if it had no real meaning. The cast were all great in my eyes, with Gal Gadot putting in a great turn as Wonder Woman yet again. Pedro Pascal did some of his best scene chewing, and Chris Pine, as always, doing his charming best. Kristen Wiig also does what she does best, but I do wish they'd have given us a little bit more cheetah, or at least made it so we could see what was bloody going on. Like I said, I could see what they were going for, but they missed it by a country mile. We already know there's a Wonder Woman 3 coming down the line, so there's hope that they can get this franchise back on track. This one gets 5 tits from this little dicky bird, and if you can turn off your brain, then you might get something out of this one. Now don't forget to leave a likey and give that little bell end a tickle for more from me, and I'll see you when I get there. Now bloody do one.